Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ladies of Sosa podcast. My name is Sahra.
And my name is Christine.
Today, we're dedicating this episode to our South Sudanese fathers. Father's Day is coming up. At this time of the recording, it's going to be Monday?
Tuesday? Maybe we put it out on Father's Day. Yeah. I don't know.
We'll probably
whenever you see it.
Yeah, whenever you see it. At the time of this recording, would have already been Father's Day, and we wanted to definitely do an episode dedicated to our fathers who have been so resilient and have been through so much as far as us raising us in a different country and being refugees, and we're gonna get into all of that.
Yeah, and Father's Day is so important. I feel like a lot of the times people complain and say like fathers don't really get any love like the mothers. Like on this Mother's Day, people go all out and it's like a big thing. But sometimes for Father's Day, people don't necessarily give it as much attention. So I feel like fathers are so important in our community and our culture. I think fathers are not only just for South Sudanese people, but in general are so important. And I think in our culture, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but the nuclear family or the family structure, fathers are very important for the home.
Yeah.
Like we have a lot of traditions and customs around showing respect, like what a man's position is in the household. So I think today we can get into it and honor our dads.
Yes, absolutely. So before we get into that, we want to go ahead and introduce our panel. We're going to start with Blue Nile. She was on our last episode. If you watched, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, I go by Blue Nile. You can find me on all platforms, Blue Nile only. And yeah.
Hi, I'm Vaida. You can find me on platforms at Vaida Joe.
Amanual Comedy. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Amanual_comedy, even though I haven't been very comedic for the last couple of episodes.
Yeah, and Amanual and Blue Nile are actually siblings, so I think that's a good dynamic. We just had a very...
We're having music coming out soon, so...
Yes! Oh, yeah, she's an artist, so go ahead and let us know, like, for those who didn't watch the last episode, who you are, what you do.
So, I make music, and I don't want to put myself in a genre, but music that makes you feel good.
Yeah.
And you disappear from the world. So.
Oh, I love that. Love it, love it, love it. So, let's go ahead and get into the topic. As South Sudanese children, we definitely have a unique experience. We have a nuanced experience. Nuanced. I have to say at least one time.
At least once.
At least one time. What is something that you guys admire or are grateful for as far as your fathers and what they done for you?
Can I start?
Yes.
All right. So I'm grateful for my dad because he taught me how to love myself, and he always boosted me up. He was like, "You're beautiful the way you are. You don't need to change anything about you." And yeah, he was just a good father. And a good, yes,
so
he was a great father.
Yeah.
I love you, Baba.
That's so sweet. I love my dad. My mom always worked the night shift, like when I was growing up. So I feel like I became a daddy's girl because we spent so much time. Like he would pick me up from my sports and from school. I just like how much. I guess it's for both my parents, but like. My dad is just really a good man through and through. He has a lot of integrity. So how he lives his life, in front of other people is very similar to how he lives his life at home. And I think he's just really like a stand-up guy and reliable. And yeah, I love you, Dad.
Yeah.
Amanual.
Yeah.
I'd say I was the hardest child for my dad, so I have to say I appreciate him for like sticking up with my bullshit. But like, I think for me, I don't know, the biggest lesson I've learned from my father is just like consistency and just being there and being honest will get you further than just being a BS person. My dad taught me how to be a people person without saying a word. Like I could genuinely say I learned to be a better man because of my dad. So I appreciate him for that. And I also saw him be a caring father. So like I saw my dad develop through different stages of life. And every single time he developed from what he was when he was younger to what he was when he was older was always consistently loving, but always he grew. So I was the first child. And so I was blessed with how a man becomes a man and seeing him. He was already a man at first, but then he became a father.
A better human being.
It was amazing.
What do you think made you like problematic? You said you were the most difficult child. Like what?
Oh, I'm absolutely insanely the worst. I don't know. Maybe it's because number one, I don't believe anything what my dad believes. my dad is very much religious, and he's very much like damn near a pastor with the way that he speaks. I'm just like, I'm the child that's always been, I was good for the first 17 years. And then one day I was like, I'm selling drugs.
What
So,
is-
like,
Okay, whoa, we don't need.
Yeah, get it.
we can believe that.
Baba, a heart attack.
We can believe that
Oh,
part out.
your dad don't know that?
My
he
dad,
probably-
he
he
knows.
knows.
But it's just,
You're
you
just
can
skip
believe that
that.
out.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
But like, I was just
Wow.
a child that like, once I hit a certain age of adulthood, I just said, you know what? Everything that you said, I'm gonna throw it out the window. And I'm gonna
But
learn
think
for
about
myself.
this though. Babu is an artist. Like he draws and everything like that. We
Oh,
got
yeah.
our
Oh.
music ability from him in a way, so we're similar in a way. So
Ironically, he
yeah.
was a musician.
he
That's
wanted
so
to do
cool.
music. He wanted to
Interesting.
do music. That's the
So
crazy
that,
part. Yeah.
you know,
It's so
the apple
it's-
don't, the apple don't fall too far.
That
I
is
mean,
so cool.
his aunt was, what's her name? Auntie, what's her name?
Young Cole.
Yeah,
The
that's-
famous singer, bro.
Wow.
Cool
Li-
Chillerwood.
he-
Oh man, a Chillerwood.
He
That's such a
lived.
fun fact. Like, I don't think. Did you know that? I didn't know that.
He lived with her when he was younger, and like he just had like that. He used to be able to play. Well, he still plays the guitar, and my dad is like, he'll just be chilling at the house. You'll find him. He'll just be drawing
Artsy.
pictures, and like hopefully one day we'll put it as a cover of an album. But yeah, my dad is he's an interesting dude. Like, dude been through a lot.
Mm.
He a
Ooh.
gangster.
Speaking of that, because you guys noted that your father has artistic abilities, like he was an artist, he draws. He said he played musical instruments too, and all that. That's
And he
really.
loved Muhammad Amanual. That's his favorite artist. I can't say something.
North
I
Sudanese.
love that.
Yeah.
My question is to the whole panel: what are some sacrifices that you think our fathers made moving here to the States, and how a lot of them had to give up their own hopes and dreams? Like, you know, a lot of times our fathers, our family, like you always hear, like, you know, they just worked their whole lives, you know, at a whatever they did, 8 hours a day. But you never hear like what they loved or what they did. Like, I love hearing that your dad loved art and all of that.
Music.
What do you guys think our fathers sacrificed? And the stories and like
Their
their
childhood
dreams.
in a way.
Your childhood was gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
Mhm.
And then even the enjoyment of being a human sometimes, like, I don't know, it's sad.
They can't be themselves unless they're with other men who've been through the same experience. So like, I think a lot of the Sudanese women have never seen like their men be happy and like enjoy themselves. But if you go to a group of uncles, you'll see that they're being themselves at one point. And a lot of them couldn't be that because you know what you grew up in. Like, you're a man at this point.
And it's the stereotypes.
Yeah.
You have to be this as a man, you gotta hold it in, this, that, and the third. And your mom has to do this role.
Right.
I don't like it. You can't just be a human being.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the roles that we put our men in,
Mm-hmm.
and how that we never talk about how that impacts or affects them outside of their roles.
And their
when-
mental health.
Even through death. Let me ask you a question. When have you ever seen your father cry over somebody's passing? You don't see that.
I have to.
No, only time I saw my dad, well, I think when his parents passed away recently, but when John Grong, I said that last time, when we found out that he passed away, that affected my dad because we actually met. I don't know. My dad was really into the SPLM movement. Even in Zimbabwe, I have a picture with John Grong, but I remember being like really little. That was the only time I saw my dad wasn't really affected. But my dad's very much South Sudanese man. Like, we don't cry, we don't like
Hold it
tough
up,
it
suck it
out,
up.
like suck it up, like all of that.
That's
So
powerful though.
Mhm.
That's what
I believe men should
Mhm.
cry. every
Huh?
once
I think
in
it
a
was the
while.
death of a dream, or it was like
The
a
future.
bigger than him.
The
It was like,
future.
yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Vaida? How do you feel like the sacrifices our fathers made, or like things that we don't talk about that they have been through?
Mm-hmm. I feel like it's really similar to the moms. I feel like there's so much of their story that, like, I feel like of my dad specifically, like, I don't really like know, or like it wasn't until I became an adult that I really like humanized my parents in a way. They're very religious. Like, they're very like, they don't like drink. They don't really cuss. They don't listen to music. I was raised like, they're very religious and really in the church and stuff like that. So it was really hard for me to see them as like people like that made mistakes
You don't see the
and stuff like
personalities
that.
kind of.
But I have they have personality, but it's just like it wasn't until I was an adult that I really appreciated how much of my parents, I'm like, y'all are really just people, and y'all were my age before, and I just gave them that grace. But I think, of course, like coming to America at a young age, my parents were in their 20s, they did have to sacrifice their like, because like even me now being in my 20s, I couldn't imagine having children. I couldn't imagine, embarking on that journey, but they did that, and I feel like they really because they didn't take their faith as serious. I don't think so when they came before, but I think coming to America, I think it put them in a position to where they were like, we need to like really be serious about how we're gonna raise these kids. And I think they did make some sacrifices as far as like the lifestyle they chose to have, for like how they thought like they would best, you know, make sure that their kids were safe and they were getting the things that they needed. So yeah.
Sarah, what about you? Well, how do you feel about your father?
You're so annoying.
I'm sorry. I
literally told him, I was like, I'm getting emotional, and then he gonna bring it back. He gonna bring it back to me. Can you ask the question again?
How do you feel about your father? And I just want to know, like, what emotionally about your dad that you like love the most, and what makes him have such a special place in your heart?
I wanted to go last because I feel like I had to get my emotions together. I don't know where to start, but my dad passed away on April 21st of 2021. So it's been a few years now. So it's kind of emotional talking about my dad. But what I loved about him the most, like, I don't know where to start. Usually I always talk about on this podcast how he, you know, he's part of the SPLM, and he was a radio broadcaster. He gave a voice to the struggle. He literally was such an instrumental part of creating what is now South Sudan. But I think outside of that, he was just a really amazing person. When I went to South Sudan, when he passed away, I went for his funeral. And I remember people telling me, like, I'm sorry.
It's okay, sis.
I don't want to get emotional about it. I remember people telling me, like, oh, you know, I saw your dad not too long ago at the laundromat, and he's so nice and so humble and so kind. Thank you. Sorry, y'all. I'm so sorry.
No, there ain't no apologizing.
I think we've all cried on this podcast.
Yeah.
And just like when I went to South Sudan, people telling me, I'm so sorry about your dad, because people knew him in Juba. Like, they knew him personally. Like, they would see him around. And someone told me, I was at a restaurant, they were like, you know, I saw your dad at the laundromat the other day, and he was so nice, so kind, so humble. Like, you know, he just speaks like he just speaks so kindly and peacefully to you. Like, you know, it's like he didn't have any problem with anybody. And that's what a lot of people told me. Like, he didn't have no qualms with anyone. With everything that he's been through, you know, he could have dealt with so much like trauma and like been angry and been like, you know, because he's been through so much. He fought for the country. He went through war. He was in prison for years for being a rebel or communist. Like, there's so much to his story, and I think I don't have time to talk about it today. But with all that he's been through, he's always maintained his like good character. That's what I love about him the most.
He's a good human being.
Good human being. And people attest to that. Even when I go to Juba, they're like, your dad was such a nice person, such a good person. Whatever tribe, every tribe has told me that. Like, your dad was so good. He was so authentic, and he did it. Whatever he did for the country, he did it out of his heart. I always feel so connected to him for that, because like, he was genuine, like a genuine person. So
I also have to say thank you to your father, because you're a mirror of his character, and everything you just said about him, that is you also.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And the irony that now you're doing a show that's technically virtual radio.
Yeah. And every time me and Christine talk about all the time. Like, my dad did he did media, and it's like, it's crazy that we're in this position to do media and speak for our people, and like people who were still struggling. He spoke for the struggle at that time, and we're speaking for our struggle, which is in the diaspora, whatever we're going through. So it is really interesting to see how similar I am to him.
And I also want to honor Uncle Makir Benjamin, because, you know, we grew up together, and I remember like everything you said, your dad just being so nice, like the best uncle. And I remember one time I slept over your house, and he took us to the donut shop to get donuts. And I don't know why, you know, kid memories.
I remember that. Yeah.
You remember? And I just remember, I was like, I love Uncle so much. Uncle's
That's so cute.
It don't take much.
it don't
Yeah,
take
as a
much, but
kid.
you know, like he's like, and he was just so nice. Like he would always like just smile. Like his smile, I still remember him. And I don't want to get emotional because I'm already a crier, but that's like a core memory from our childhood of like being in the living room watching That's So Raven, waking up and your dad taking us to the donut shop to get donuts. Which growing up as an African kid, like your parents weren't really hip to like, oh, go get donuts or certain things. So that was super cool to be able to like have that experience. And he was always so nice, and you look so much like him. Yeah, rest in peace to Uncle
Rest in
Mikir.
peace to
Yeah.
my dad.
Shout out to them.
Yeah, it's just a month. It's just like last month. No, it's 2 months ago.
Yeah,
Maybe
and
his like the death anniversary. I guess we could call
Anniversary.
it,
Yeah.
So
And I remember even 2021 when that happened. I remember like the wind, like just hearing the news was just like, oh my God, like I need to check on you because it was just crazy.
uncles I haven't seen in so long, in years, since I was a child, came to my house in tears, crying. So it was very emotional because you don't, like you said, Vaida, like humanizing your father. I had to deal with his passing, but also humanizing him as well, like his life, his death, and why people loved him so much, and like dealing with his passing, and like just everything, all of that just kind of like piled on me in a beautiful way. It's beautiful, but it's like it was a lot, like understanding him, and I feel like I'm still trying to understand his legacy and everything. So it's like unraveling for me.
Do you feel like you were, because everybody in this thing, we all were adults or have had our parents throughout all our childhoods until we were 18. Do you feel like that's the biggest blessing compared to some of our people that are watching who didn't have their fathers for most of their lives, or their fathers left? Do you think that's like the biggest blessing that we could have had to make us who we are now?
Yeah, I feel like however long you have your father is a blessing, because you never know when they're gonna be gone. You just never know. So however long you have them, it's a blessing. I mean, I had him past 18, but sometimes I'll go somewhere and people will be like, so tell me about your parents. I'm like, oh, my dad passed away. And they'll be way older than me. And they'll be like, you're way too young to lose your dad. And that will hit me.
Mm-hmm.
That will still hurt this in a different way. But I think it's a blessing to have had him for as long as I had him. And I wish I would have had him longer, but
I think it's
life
never
happens
enough. Like,
in
as,
God's
I feel like
time.
as children, that's your biggest fear. Is like,
Oh, yeah.
losing
You don't wanna
your
lose your
parents. So I don't think it's ever enough. I think you can be like, even when my dad, who's a grown man, lost his parents, like you could see how it really shook him to his core. And my dad's a strong, like he doesn't cry. And I can see him fighting through it, you know. So
can we talk about your dad real quick?
oh, now you see
The pressure.
I'm not trying to get emotional, so I'll keep it really brief. But
I love the straight. I love at your grandma's bika. When your grandma had passed away, and he spoke for the family. I think that shows like the strength of like our South Sudanese fathers. We always take that trope of like speaking and being the advocate.
South Sudanese dads or men love to speak. If
Yes.
you ever been to Manasaba, them
They don't
speeches,
stop talking.
They said it won't be long, but then.
be like, it's like, okay, just briefly, 10 minutes, next thing you know, 30 minutes later, it's like, and one last thing.
Right. But he did so good.
Yeah, I know,
His
I know.
strength, like he was so sad, but you can tell that he was trying to be strong for everybody else. Like even not even just his family, the community that came to show up for him. And I think that's a big thing that us South Sudanese people do. We show up for everybody.
I have to make a comment on that. It's the most messed up part about it as a community is like her father was going through that, but it was required of him. It's something that they always say. My aunt literally told me whenever my dad wasn't there that whenever I had to do it, she was like, you cannot show weakness. And it hit me at that moment. I was like, oh my God. Like,
yeah, it's heavy.
This is the burden my father. This is why he is the way that he is, because inside he's probably going through hell. But your father was probably going through it. And then at that moment, what did you see from your father that you were like, is he okay?
It's always strength. I feel like for South Sudanese fathers, they're always like the pillar of strength in the household. And I think our culture really pushes like everything is like male centered in a way, but on the flip side, I can see how that's also very heavy for the men as well, because like everything is on them when it comes to the family structure, making sure you provide, making sure your kids are a certain way. And that's why it's like, oh, growing up, like we would serve my dad. Like it's not because he was really the nicest dad ever. He showed affection. I know some parents or some dads, they might not show affection to their kids. But my dad was always affectionate, and I feel like we,
To the girls.
honored him.
Show affection to the girls.
To the girls. Oh, you don't feel like he was affectionate to you?
My dad, he was affectionate.
Yeah, but I
Like
think that's the way that they raise the girls and boys.
He did it right though, because
Yeah.
my mom was the one that like,
Showed
and then she
affection
was
to you.
mean to them.
Yeah,
The crazy thing, she was affectionate to Yen. My dad was affectionate to me, and then it was just the opposite.
So mama was affectionate to me.
And the boys, and the Yen loud, kind of
No, because mama wasn't affectionate to you like that. Papa was
Maybe is it different for the older Sudanese girls? Cause
I don't know, because I'm the
'Cause
only daughter, so I'm definitely a daddy's girl.
older
through
Sudanese
and
girls
through.
go through hell.
Yeah, I mean naturally, just
Yeah.
the oldest sibling.
We gotta go
thing.
to your dad. We gotta hear about your father. That's what I want
I
to hear
don't, I don't want to get
from.
into it because I'm gonna cry.
Yes,
Okay.
cry.
Go,
nigga.
go.
Nigga.
Like for me, I'm a daddy's girl. My dad is like, growing up, you might have heroes, people that you look up to, or whatever. It was always my dad for me. Like I didn't
Why is your
look up
dad your
to-
hero?
Just because I feel like, gosh, like everything. Like I feel like as a little girl, growing up, you look at your parents are your world, right? So to have a strong father who is present, because it's one thing to pay the bills and be in the house. It's another thing to build a connection with your children, to
Show love
read
and
to
all,
them,
yeah.
try to teach them, work with them with their homework. Like you said, tell them that they're beautiful.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't want to cry, but
he did all of that.
yeah.
He was
And
a good dad.
What is?
Mhm.
Did your dad ever like tell you a story that like stuck with you that like always helps you to this day?
He told me so many stories. I used to bug him for it, but I think his presence, like just being there,
Mm-hmm.
people think it's money. No, it's being there every day.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Because I was the kid, like my mom would be cooking. When my dad come home from work, I run to the door. I'll be the girl that like go get my dad's shoes, like put the shoes. Like I was,
Yeah, daddy's girl.
get
I
my
think
dad's
we-
lunchbox.
I think us South
like,
Sudanese girls are
yeah.
naturally daddy's girls, honestly, because I was such a daddy's girl.
yeah, for sure.
Naturally,
Y'all were blessed with great fathers.
my
And,
dad wasn't there all the time. My dad was back home in prison.
Yeah,
like,
But you,
dang, my
yeah,
dad
I
locked
feel
up.
you. Because my dad, like when the Iraq War happened, I was going into 7th grade, and he was a linguist, so he was gone like
Oh.
7th grade to 12th grade, and for someone who would run to the door,
That's terrifying.
it was horrible.
Yeah, oh my
Like for the
gosh.
first few months, I slept with my mom in the room, so it was really hard. And I would do cheesy stuff like go smell my dad's clothes just
Got
to
to.
feel like,
Oh my God. That's a
like,
good one.
okay, I still feel his presence in the house. So I feel like I really respect fathers who are present.
Yeah.
And it's important and it matters. And I think that if we keep that in our culture, we'll be fine.
Mm.
Because the family structure is so important. And I always say I am who I am because I have my dad. Because there's certain things that I don't do just because I'm like, I don't want to disappoint my dad, Like, so. And that's all I'm going to say on that. 'cause-
Give your dad.
Amen. Shout out to her fathers, man. Shout out to the good dads in the world.
Yes.
Anybody want to tell a story about their dad?
This is why I chose not to be on the panel.
Yeah.
That nigga go cry.
I'm not about to
Listen,
cry
I'm not trying to.
on camera.
Oh my god!
But it's so beautiful. Like, I'm so grateful.
definitely,
Yeah,
yeah.
Every day I'm like, thank you for my parents. Like,
Yeah.
to have good
blessing.
parents, it's like we're blessed. It's not always money that is
Makes the
like your
person,
blessing.
yeah.
Yeah.
God blesses you in
Mhm.
so many different
Yes.
ways and shows favor on your life in so many different ways. And to not only have your parents, but to know your parents and like for them to love you and care about you and pour into you. And like sometimes it's annoying because it's like, dang, sometimes they be doing too much, but it's like all the sacrifices, everything they poured into you when they came here. It's like you guys are their reason for living. Like
Mhm.
everything is like to make sure these kids become somebody so that everything is not in vain. And the sacrifices like working multiple jobs, working night shift, like
yeah.
it's a lot.
After I did night shift for 2 years and doing the double shifting, I said, my dad did this for how many
Yeah.
years?
Right.
Yeah.
Coming to America with not learning the language, not knowing anything. He worked at the 7-Eleven as a 6'5" Sudanese man
Yeah.
at 27 years old, 29, 28 years old, just chilling. And all he knew is I got to get my kids what they need. I got to get the first car. I remember the little things that we celebrate, and I look back at it, and I'm like, my dad was a gangster.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Like,
we forget.
It's always when you get older and you look back, you're like, oh.
And then you know a lot of Americans be talking slick to them.
Talking slick.
And they be coming them
Yeah.
sideways. I'm like, bro, who are you talking to? That's gonna be
this day. I wish I would have been back there, because I
Yeah.
remember there were times when I was younger, and people would just be like, "Psh, look at this black ass family." If I would have been there today,
Yeah. Yeah.
all of them roasted. I thank God my dad had the patience not to just hurt people.
Yeah.
Like you said
Yeah.
earlier in the last episode, you just gotta take it because you got kids at home. You
Yeah,
can't blow
feel
up.
And they know you take like, I can't understand what you're saying. What do you?
Oh yeah, I hate that when they do the accent thing.
I'm like,
that
no.
really.
Could I can't pronounce your name. Don't play with that person.
Yeah.
Like
That's
that.
why I can't say I'm first generation or even like generation 0, because my dad was.
Yeah.
Like, I grew up here, so for me, it's like I can't disrespect
yeah.
what he went through.
Yeah.
Because he
that's
had to
true.
come here with a strong accent, everything else, learn the language, put in the fucking work, and then build everything. And then also my mom did the same thing. It's like, I'm sorry, no disrespect to Father's Day and Mother's Day, but it should just be parents. And we should have 2 days specifically celebrating our parents. Obviously, one is going to be more for the mother, one is going to be for the father. But I'm going to still tell you, there's some mothers out here that did their fatherly duties.
Yeah.
And there are fathers that are out here that did their motherly duties. And this
you
is
gotta
the truth.
shout the moms too, who
Yep.
are single moms on Father's Day too.
Yeah.
And I'm going to shout out the single fathers on Mother's Day. Like, it's just the truth, man.
And we forget that a lot of our parents, when they moved here, they left behind their own like accomplishments and their dreams. Like
I know. And I
some
know
of our
that hurts
parents
them
were
to-
like doctors, our aunties or uncles were doctors
know
back
that.
home or had their doctor's degree, and they come here, they have to start all over, or they were, nurses, or they were teachers, and now they have to come back, and it's not going to be as easy to get
And they
acclimated
don't even like
here.
transfer it to here. They don't even care.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, you don't speak English. Go ahead.
We don't get my pops on one of my sister's songs, though.
That'd be dope.
We're gonna get him on
I'm
the
sure that
episode
would,
too.
like she said he.
I don't know about my dad. We can get my mama.
We'll get your mom on
My
there.
mama's character, but we're not going to get my
We
dad.
do want the older generation on this panel. We've been working on getting that to get their perspective and get their experience, because we're speaking from our experience living in the diaspora, but they have a completely different experience. They have 2 experiences: living in the diaspora as of recent and living in South Sudan and being a refugee. So we would love to get that. If you guys have someone you want to recommend, please ladiesofsosa@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And
And I also want to shout out the uncles because just as much as growing up with my dad, I just remember on the weekends or when we have uncles come visit, like just the community of having like other men, like they were fathers as well. They had their own kids, but the nice uncles who would give you money to dance. You remember back in the day when you'd be in the house, they'd give dollars out, or the uncles would be like, "Hey, how are you? Are you doing good in school?"
Dance. What do you mean by that?
You remember like when people first came from Africa and they'll play like the music videos in the house when people would come over and then they'll have the kids like
That
the-
disco song.
Yes.
Both boys and girls, because I used to do like this little thing.
Yeah,
chubby
both-
ass
both.
would try to break dance, and my
Yes.
uncles would be like,
Girls and boys for
We'll
sure.
make it rain on my
That's what
black
the
ass.
kids. Yes.
bro, I couldn't do no spinning Rooney, but for some reason my fat ass thought I could just do the shit. It probably just looked
I
like I was
remember
flopping
that's
around.
when 50 Cent in the club was popping. I remember when they used to, African aunties and uncles used to love that song.
Go
shawty.
shawty,
It's your birthday. We gonna party like it's your birthday. That makes me lit.
No, for real. The parents used to love that.
Brother, they not all have the same tape? Because I remember back in the day, they used to all have the same cassette that they would
Yes.
put in their same cars, and it was the
Not
same
only
playlist.
that one, but they play the Congolese music and
Yes.
then like everybody start dancing.
No,
We don't combo.
Congolese music. Christine, tell them how we went to our first concert at like 10 years old. It was a Congolese concert.
Yeah.
Bro, did
And that was big.
Okay.
That's why when Kofi came, when I went, people I went to the concert by myself. That's how much, because it was like my inner child was like, before I died, that was on my bucket list. I have to see Kofi. It was my favorite. I have to see Kofi.
Wait, is Owilo
Congolese
still touring in here?
I don't know, but we have a funny story about that.
I can tell you the story about Owilo
No, it doesn't.
on 635,
What he
but
do?
I'm not going to incriminate any uncles.
But shout out to the uncles who support all the kids in the community, who would be like, "Oh, how are you doing in school?" Like so and so, like the love that I felt from all the elders, the uncles and the aunties. But this is Father's Day, so it's just great to have like other male figures in the community that are not your own parents or your own dad or whatever, that care about you, that show you love. I think that's like I was bringing up your dad earlier, like just just feeling the love from everyone else.
But it's time for us to admit that, like, at this point, all our friends that have kids and all our friends that are married, we are those people at this generation.
I know.
I always joke with us about like how we're uncles and aunties now, but we are.
Yeah.
Because our aunts and aunties were 26, 27, 28, 29 at the time that they were listening to 50 Cent. So they were in these situations.
You don't want to.
This is us now.
I know. It's like, I know.
It's us now.
That's not the point of this episode.
No,
We're trying to still stay young. We're just trying to get
our anymore.
But we're not old. But we're old to 4-year-olds.
Yeah.
We're old to 5-year-olds. We're old to 10-years-olds.
gosh,
we're old
you're
to
right.
15-year-olds.
I forgot there's like little
because even
5-year-old
now,
South
we
Sudanese
tell
kids
our-
running around.
We tell our nieces like, "Oh, do that TikTok dance." We don't know that.
Exactly.
I don't know that TikTok.
It's crazy that we're the new parents because some of the stuff I've been seeing online is like, bro, how are we the new?
Hold on, you young.
We'll talk about that the next episode or something.
Yeah, we should.
Being acclimated into like parenthood, like it's time for us to be the new parents now, the new aunties. How do we start becoming the new?
How do we be better?
Vida's not. She's
Y'all know
not
how to
there
cook?
yet.
I'm auntie level.
What do y'all know how to cook?
How old are you, butter?
I want combo.
Yeah.
Okay, y'all know how to cook. Okay, I know.
Wait.
What do you know how to cook?
I have an idea for
Good
you.
question.
Ladies.
Nah, everybody know.
These are good questions.
Tell my ladies. I have a question. Can we truly like? Number one, we teach the men how to cook specific foods, and we have a cook-off between the ladies of Sosa males and the ladies of Sosa women.
Say less.
I mean, you can cook.
Yeah, hell yeah, I can cook, but I can cook American food.
He don't know how to cook Sudanese.
I don't really know how to cook. I can cook a mean pork shoulder. I can cook some pork belly. I can go in on some brisket.
You know what I don't know how to cook though? I want to learn kamunya. Y'all might disagree.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot.
But I gotta learn it. You have to learn it.
Yeah.
You have to have one of your friends learn it because your kid has to be able to use it.
All right, so thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of Ladies of Sosa. It did get a little emotional, but we definitely want to hear your stories of your fathers and what they've been through and how and why you are grateful for them. And what else, Christine?
Shout out to all of the fathers in the community. I feel like it's so beautiful, the family structure and the family unit. I think we need to keep that going. And yeah, it means a lot. Like, you guys matter, fathers matter, just as much as the mothers. And I think that I hope that our generation makes it a point to stay in our children's lives, even though we're living in the Western world, because it does make a huge difference.
Yes, absolutely. I think we all agree to that, right? Anybody else want to close out?
Yeah, I want to close out and say to all you fathers that ain't fathers, this is what you look like. Big baby ass niggas. Go take care of your fucking kids. Go take care of your kids. Go be a dad. Go be a father.
Period.
Go be a fucking father.
Period.
Anyway,
Period.
Amanda _comedy.
That's it.
I haven't shown them 20
Yeah, then follow us at Ladies of Sosa on all platforms.
And Blue Nile. Go ahead, shout yourself.
Blue Nile only. All right.
And Vaida.
Invited.
Vita Jones. We'll put their information.
Thank you guys so
We
much.
love
Happy
you guys.
Father's Day.
Love y'all.